With 9 seasons across 13 years on air, Rugrats is one of the longest running cartoons of all time, so naturally the show went through some changes over time. Hi, I'm Adrian with Channel Frederator, and today we're comparing the show we know from the early 90s to the show in the early days of cell phones in Then vs. Now Rugrats. Make sure to subscribe and click that bell icon to become part of the notification squad. Animation. In its first season, Rugrats sported a crude animation style with lots of crooked lines and asymmetry. This may have been an intentional move, given that the babies of Rugrats were designed to look ugly rather than cute. Its creators felt that cute-looking babies would have made the show feel a little too precious, whereas more bizarre character designs would help sell what the show had to say about childhood. Through the next few years, the show went through multiple changes in animation, switching from a Taiwan-based animation studio to multiple South Korean companies. Then, after a hiatus that we'll elaborate more a little later, Rugrats' 4th season featured a new and improved animation style, with more details in its characters and backgrounds. By the show's final 9th season, things only looked better with smoother animation, brighter colors, and even more variety in locations. This allowed for different kinds of environments outside the domestic settings in which most of the show's early seasons took place. However, things never smoothed out completely, and some of that crudeness from the first season remained, making the animation in the brighter and more vibrant 9th season more of a new and improved version of what came before it, rather than a complete departure from what made the series stand out in the first place. Characters. Not only did Rugrats add to its original cast of characters since its debut, some of the principal characters underwent some changes from their early versions. In fact, Chucky and Angelica weren't even part of the principal cast of characters when the show was first created. Only after its pilot were they added to the show. Chucky was originally intended to be a foil to Tommy's bravery, and Angelica's bully character was meant to introduce a new dynamic into the show's central characters. One significant difference between Tommy of the early days and Tommy of the show's later seasons is that he didn't always wear his signature blue shirt at first. In the unaired pilot episode, the show's first official episode, and a couple others, Tommy sports a red shirt that he quickly lost after the first season. Another weird character change that happened in the middle of the series is that Phil, who was originally drawn without earlobes to possibly differentiate him from his twin sister Lil, was given earlobes in the middle of the series run. However, they were taken away again after a few years, making at least that aspect of the early Phil and later Phil the same. In addition, improvements in animation meant that some character designs changed naturally as the show progressed. Dee Dee, for example, went from sporting a cartoonishly wide mouth to a regular old normal-sized mouth. Not that there's anything wrong with cartoonishly large mouths. Strangely, series co-creator Arlene Klasky was not a fan of Angelica at first, finding her to be too mean for her liking, but the series' other two showrunners were in charge of her character development. It wasn't until the Rugrats movie of 1998 revealed a kinder side to Angelica that Klasky approved of the character, declaring, "I love Angelica," which is pretty heartwarming. Finally, the show added new central characters as it progressed, with Tommy's little brother Dill being born in the Rugrats movie, season 6 introducing Lulu, to whom Grandpa Lou Pickles would get married to, and the 2000s The Rugrats Go to Paris introducing Chaz Finster's new wife, Kira, Chucky's new sister, Kimmy, and their new dog friend, Fifi. In addition to plenty of recurring side characters, the show's final season featured a much bigger world than its earlier, more minimal incarnation. Tone. Another major change that came after the show's hiatus was more focus on the babies from the 4th season onward. The show's early seasons tended to feature Tommy on solo adventures, and in general, less of the babies altogether at once. The show's ensemble cast, of course, would become its focus the more the show went on, and the babies were given more dialogue and general screen time together in the show's later seasons. Additionally, some earlier pre-hiatus episodes featured darker themes than the lighthearted tone that the show would later maintain. For example, in season 3's Pickles vs. Pickles, Angelica brings her parents to trial for being bad parents, which is eventually revealed to be her father Drew's nightmare. Angelica making her parents look bad in front of a court is played out with a dark and serious tone, which the show would drop moving forward. Some other dark and more adult moments from before the hiatus include Grandpa Boris getting bored in the episode Home Movies and placing a call to Dr. Kevorkian, famed proponent of euthanasia. Grandpa Lou referencing an adult film called Lonely Space Fixins in season 3's Grandpa's Date, and season 2's Chucky vs. the Potty, in which Chucky envisions toilet training to be like execution by electric chair, which I can personally assure you is untrue. For some contrast, season 9's final episode, Kimmy Takes the Cake, is about a search for a birthday cake for Kimmy's 2nd birthday. While that's a valid way to tell a story about babies too, it sure is a far cry from the show's early days. Voice actors and staff. In general, the staff behind Rugrats and the voices of its characters remained stable throughout the show's run, with all of the main voice casts at the end of the original series even returning for All Grown Up, as the voices of the babies' preteen counterparts. However, a few notable shakeups to the central Rugrats staff have occurred throughout its run. Perhaps most notably, Christine Cavanaugh, the original voice of Chucky, who is also known for providing the voice of Dexter on Dexter's Laboratory, retired from voice acting in 2001 for personal reasons. Her replacement was Nancy Cartwright, who's the voice of Bart Simpson. Simpson. Cartwright continued on as the voice of Chucky through the end of the series and even into All Grown Up. Voice actress Candy Milo ended up replacing Kavanaugh as Dexter and also provided the voice of Chucky in 2 video games. The other major departure from the show was Paul Germain, who co-created the show alongside Arlene Klasky and Gabor Shupo of the show's production company Klasky Shupo Inc. After he left, Germain went on to create Recess, which aired on the Disney Channel. However, a Rugrats reboot is currently in limbo, with Nickelodeon having said that it's possible but not confirmed. Germain has expressed interest in returning to the show and approaching it as a 90s time capsule, essentially picking up where the show left off at the time of his departure. And finally, the voice of Lou Pickles changed in 1997 after his original voice actor, David Doyle, passed away and was replaced by Joe Alasky. The season 5 episode Lady Luck, which was the final episode Doyle recorded as Lou, was dedicated to the late Doyle, before Alasky took the reins until the show's conclusion and into All Grown Up. The intro sequence. If you remember the Rugrats opening, you probably love it. The intro sequence was created by Peter Chung, who went on to create MTV's Aeon Flux TV series. The opening lovingly shows babies being babies and getting into all kinds of mischief in its short length, all to a much perfect score by Devo founder and TV film soundtrack messiah, Mark Mothersbaugh. There's also a cat robot for some reason that never appears in the actual show, so it's weird, but it's part of the charm. After the show had added some new central characters, its creators must have found that to be an appropriate time for a redux of its classic intro sequence, featuring the newly added Dill and Kimmy, as well as Susie, a series OG who just happened to not be in the original opening. This second opening was used in season 6 through 9, following the Rugrats in Paris movie. It also basically featured a remix of the original song, and while there are no specific composer credits for this new rendition, post-hiatus, Mark Mothersbaugh's brother and Devo co-founder Robert Mothersbaugh had taken over the role of secondary musician by Dennis M. Hannigan, who had gone on to score Recess. So the sound of the new theme may have been in part due to the addition of the second Mothersbaugh brother. The logo also changed along with the intro sequence, and actually changed for the second time in the show's history with a new opening, if you count the unaired pilot as part of the series' history. The pilot episode featured a vastly different logo that's best described as very, very 90s. Then of course, the show landed on its classic logo that actually still looks very 90s. The new opening sequence updated the logo to be a darker color, added some shading, and generally smoothed out some of the lines, giving it a turn of the century upgrade. Popularity. Now it's time to talk about that hiatus. Rugrats didn't go on hiatus out of necessity, the way shows did during the writer's strike in 2007, for example. What happened was, Rugrats was one of the first original Nicktoons at Nickelodeon and was scheduled from the beginning of production to last for 65 episodes. So the show was put on production hiatus so that the network could continue airing those 65 episodes on repeat. It was during that time, the post-production hiatus, that the network began airing reruns of Rugrats every day, putting it in front of a bunch of new eyeballs and leading to a surge in popularity. Following this success, the show returned much more popular and only grew, spawning multiple movie adaptations and the All Grown Up spin-off series that lasted beyond the end of the original series run. But All Grown Up wasn't the only spin-off in the works. Another series, Preschool Days, which featured Angelica and Susie going to preschool, was deep in production when the All Grown Up special aired in 2001. The special had more people tune into Nickelodeon during its airing than any other show in the network's history. A Variety article even came out about it and called Rugrats the highest rated program franchise in cable history. That same year, Rugrats was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and to date, it is the only Nickelodeon series with a star. Nickelodeon decided to cease production of Preschool Days in favor of creating an All Grown Up series. Well, that's it for this childhood nostalgia trip. I'm Adrian, and thanks for watching Then vs. Now of Rugrats. How else have you noticed the series change? Do you have a favorite era of Rugrats? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon to become part of the notification squad. We upload new videos every week, so stay tuned for more. And remember, Frederator loves you.